Good evening, and welcome once again to Through the Smoke. I am Funkmaster Footle, as I was last time.
I am Lord Master Chester Chester Masterson, Esquire the Third, or Bobby, if you'd like to call me that.
I'm Jesse.
And I'm Eric.
Not quite as hoity-toity as these two, I suppose. But
How is Funkmaster Footle hoity-toity?
You're the one with the handlebar mustache.
there's master in your name.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, but technically you're the only one with the master's degree so far. I'm working on mine. So you.
I'm not even a lawyer yet, I'm Esquire.
Yeah.
Esquire.
And I'm certainly not a third.
No, well, you're a third of the size of
well,
but not as Okay, so first thing I wanted to talk about tonight is something that we talked about a little bit at lunch. Jesse and myself went out with our significant others and our friend John and his beautiful wife and child for lunch today, and we went to Chili's, and Jesse brought up an idea that he would like to try some point or another to just go to a restaurant and be like, I don't even want a menu, just pick something around this price range and surprise me, right? And I said I have a story about that, and so I wanted to bring it up.
Oh boy.
And this story has led me to a conclusion, which I'm then going to share with you afterwards. So my buddy back home in Chicago area, his name's Walter, and we went to, it was the time when the movie 40-Year-Old Virgin came out. And we went to a late night showing on Friday night because it opened that day, and so they had like one right before closing of the theater. And so we went to it, and then afterwards, in the parking lot, or sharing the same parking lot, I should say, was an IHOP. Okay. Now, we figured we've gone out this far, we're probably either just going to go straight home or we can go get some food. So we figured we might as well just go get some food. Well, we go into IHOP, and it's a Friday night, so around 12:30-ish, 1 o'clock, a bunch of drunk people are already in there making a ruckus and things like that. And here's Walter and myself, and we sit in the corner booth, and this woman waitress walks up, and she's just kind of looking a little worse for wear. Like, you can tell that she's been through some shit, like, over her years. And so we're trying to figure out what we want, and I give an order, and Walter, being indecisive as he is, was just like, surprise me. And she just deadpan, just like Van Damme, just looks at him and says, are you sure you want me to surprise you? And we're just like shit, what did we just say?
Oh god.
She's like, I don't think you know what I'm capable of. And I'm just like,
Oh no!
And so she's like, you know, back when I was in college, I was a struggling student, so I did whatever I had to do to make money. So, you know, I worked as a stripper for a while, and it's like, are you sure you want me to surprise you? And all I'm like, no, you're not sure, Walter. I'm just like, no, just stop. No, just order something. And he's like, yeah. And he's just like shaking hands back the menu to her, and she's like, okay then, get ready. And so we're like, no. So she goes back to the kitchen and places my order, and then places whatever order she made for Walter. And then a little while later comes back and puts this plate in front of him, and it's it's probably the biggest plate they had. It was a massive plate of this pancakey, waffly looking thing with strawberries and raspberries kind of smeared all over it.
Say that again.
Smeared, yeah.
Okay.
And it just looks as if it was like the leftovers of someone who ate before us. And she's just like, so, what do you think? And she just stood there waiting for him to try it. And so he just kind of picks up his fork and cuts it a little bit. Slowly. Looks up to her, smiles. Oh God. Oh. It's good! Thanks! She's like, you like my surprises, don't you? And at the time, I think we were both probably like 17 or 18 at the time. And so she walks away, and Walter just like puts the fork down and looks at me. He's like, should I go to the bathroom and like make myself throw up? Like, what did she do to my food?
What has she done?
Like, and the thing is though, like, it's not like she went back there and cooked, or at least I hope not. But all she did was place the order. But it was just the strangest thing. Like, why would you say that? Why would you ever go into like the hit, like, oh, I was a stripper for a while, so maybe you shouldn't let me surprise you. Like, what does that have to do with fucking food?
Herc got a simple leg.
You might have hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, it's like, I mean,
I'd be interested to know what it is she said to the cook. Here, yeah, make this pile of shit and then this.
yeah, the cook was about like, who the hell ordered this?
Pity the soul, pity the soul.
But and so
Creature.
my conclusion from that is one. Time of day you are asking to be surprised.
Yeah, that's...
And the actual place you're asking to be surprised in. So if we're talking like a 4-star or up restaurant, we're good.
That reminds me of a parable. A parable, I say that. It's actually a quote. Surprise sex is good, unless you're in prison.
Like, man. Oh, golly. So...
Tactical face.
Yes, I mean, like, don't get me wrong. Like, when I go to, say, for instance, a new bar. Whenever I go to a new bar, I like to talk to the bartenders and ask, is there a drink that only you make?
What is your drink?
Yeah, not like a house drink, doesn't like that. What is a drink that you like to drink, or what is a drink that you would order, or what is a drink that you specifically make? And it usually is fairly good. It's decent, at least, right? And that is, in some ways, a surprise, but I don't... Food to me, especially if it's getting kind of pricey, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I get that. I like to go in normally instead of saying surprise me, especially if I'm at a higher place. I like to go to the waitress and be like, what do you like? What is your favorite thing on the menu? What is your favorite thing the cook makes?
Yeah.
And from there, we'll see. Ah, yeah. While you're opening a beer, speaking of, I have a beer that fits me.
For once, right?
Yes, it's a little 7-ouncer.
Yeah.
It's cute. It's a monster.
Yeah. It's
good.
Little King's Original Cream Ale.
Pretty good
Picked those
stuff.
up a while ago. They're not bad. You should try one. There's 2 left.
Next,
So,
after my
Killian's.
Killian's!
Irish.
That's a fantastic pipe beer, but that's what it says.
So, okay, so speaking of what we're drinking, let's go over what we're smoking. So what are you smoking?
I'm smoking Mac Baron's Highland Breeze.
It's an interesting cigar.
It's a very interesting smoke, very flavored, very complex.
Okay.
Flavorful.
Okay. Out of what pipe?
Out of my Jesse Jones Freehand. Jesse Jones.
You?
Show that sucker off. That's pretty.
Yeah. Oh, it's gorgeous cigar.
One of my favorite. Actually, it is my favorite pipe.
Oh, okay. Oh, you pulled up the whole. I am smoking a Oliva Serie V Salomon. It's a full-bodied cigar. It's an Ecuadorian bottle sun-grown wrapper, and it is a Nicaraguan filler. So it's. I like them stout. I like them big. This is kind of fatty. Although the Salomon shape, it tapers down towards the head here, the cap. But it starts off by the footer. Yeah, what? A little bit more of a
And we're
chunky
back in
guy.
high school.
Yeah, there we go. Okay.
Well,
I did open up with a story of me, right near the tail end of high school, so I guess
Yeah.
it fits. So, what are you smoking, bud?
I am smoking a Rocky Patel Edición Única 2011. They are, from what I can tell, a Nicaraguan wrapper and a Nicaraguan filler?
Yeah, might be a Puro.
Yeah, I think it's a Puro, actually. From what I can tell, they don't have a lot of info on them, but... No, excuse me, it's a Honduran Puro, actually, so...
Okay.
A Mastra. Anyways, fantastic cigar so far, I quite like it. I'm picky about my cigars, so it depends on my mood. Sometimes I like them full-bodied and strong, and sometimes I like them kind of weak and pale, but... just depends on the mood.
Weak and pale.
God.
It's like my coffee. Sometimes I like it hot, black, and strong. Sometimes I like it weak and pale.
But always with a spoon in it.
Yes. Truer words never spoken.
Yeah. And then what is Jesse?
I have a cigar that's rather unknown. It's a
Back in Russian.
the brand is called Total Flame. Okay, and so one of the few distributors is here in Amarillo, Texas, and so they're trying to make the cigar a little bit more widespread. It comes in several different varieties. They have a Nicaraguan, they have a light line, and they have a dark line. This is the special edition of 2013. It's called an FTW. Use your imagination.
FTW.
For you folks in the Midwest.
For the win.
It can be for the win or for two wheels. Those of you who have more creative imaginations, I'm sure, can come up with a better acronym.
Leave them in the comments below.
So we didn't really know a whole lot about this cigar, and I asked Bobby to look up the composition, and the Total Flame company is actually Russian, and the only information we could find was on the Russian website. And so we ran it through with Google Translate or something like that.
Yeah, I used to know quite a bit of Russian. I'm not so good at it now, so I can pick out some words. I'll save you the roughness of it, but the translation leads to everything that deals with masculine, full-bodied, and bold. Translates to men or male, funny enough. So the description is powerful, men, but not brutal. This cigar has a rich taste, which, thanks to the cover slip and binder guessed, spicy and Swedish notes.
I assume cover slip means wrapper.
Yeah, let's hope.
If it doesn't, we're in trouble.
One word that actually didn't translate was Nicaraguan, and it's Nicaragunasic, but that's besides the point. It's a Nicaraguan wrapper and filler with a Mexican binder, so not too bad. It has Ligero in it. Fantastic cigar so far. What do you think?
Well, we all went to the Total Flame event when they
Yes.
had it at Jones & Cowan Smoke Shop here in Amarillo, Texas.
A lot of cigars.
We entered one of the drawings and we won
A box? No, not a box, but we won a
13
pack.
A nice big sampler. And
Yeah.
in order to get into that, we had to buy a box. So we all split a box of these FTWs. And
Yeah.
I've been enjoying them.
Yeah, they've been pretty good.
They're pretty good.
They're a lot richer of a flavor than I was expecting.
Yeah.
Especially after trying some of their other lines. They have some nice deep and, for lack of a better term, well stated flavor profiles. Like they're very clear, but there's not much complexity to it. But I feel like the FTWs, they develop over time.
It has sharp edges for all the flavors.
Yeah.
You know exactly what you're getting.
Yeah.
So, pretty good cigars so far. Their light line is actually not that light at all as far as flavor is concerned. They're a pretty rich and bold cigar, which is somewhat surprising because they are a Connecticut wrapper. Their dark line I find to be quite a bit sweeter and creamier than their light line. Actually.
Yeah, their dark line is really good.
Which I believe it's a Habano, isn't it?
Their dark line, actually, I think it was a Connecticut, is very creamy. It reminded me of a Connecticut with a little bit more something to it.
Yeah.
Well, it might have been like a Connecticut grown.
Yeah,
either
that's
Habano
true. Because
or
it's a very dark
Could have been a
wrapper.
different filler.
True.
Yeah.
If it was a Connecticut wrapper, it could have got a little bit more sun.
Okay, and so, this brings up that one topic. So I kind of have dabbled here and there into cigar rolling myself.
You should do more.
I know. I need to bring out those ugly suckers again.
Fantastic.
The cigars I rolled were,
I need more.
yeah, delicious. Really good flavor, but
Not
they were ugly. They looked like Frankenstein's monsters, but they were good.
But they smoked like champs.
Yeah. I mean, well, Frankenstein's monster could still break through walls, even though he was,
It looked more like
together. But okay, but the thing is, looking into cigars, I got a lot of mixed messages. Some people say it's the wrapper that gives you the flavor, or a lot of the different flavor notes. Some people say no, that's only one or two leaves at most, so it's got to be the filler, and it's just a point of contention.
In my experience, if you do the math, some people, especially some aficionados, like to say that the wrapper supplies 80% of the flavor of the cigar, and the filler and binder 20%. I think that's bulk. Just do the arithmetic.
Yeah.
Right? You're smoking a lot of tobacco here. And there are a lot of premium cigars that use the same wrapper,
Yes.
but they taste completely different.
Yeah.
So I think part of that has to be the filler.
And the thing is, then you got to look at some of the things, like you have a little box of CAO MX2s, right? And that's Maduro wrapper and Maduro binder, correct?
Yes.
And then Camacho put out for a long time before they were bought out by, who were they bought out?
I don't know if they were bought out or if they just
changed.
The founder broke away.
But they used to put out a triple Maduro, which was just delicious.
Yeah, they still do.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
They still put out the triple Maduro, but I haven't had the new. They
new.
relabeled everything. They reboxed everything.
I have a bit of trepidation about
I don't
that.
know how the blends changed.
Yeah.
I do know that the triple Maduro went down in price to match the other lines.
Okay.
Where the actual Camacho triple Maduro is a pretty pricey stick.
It was, yeah. It was like, what, 18 for like a normal one?
Maybe a little less.
16
15,
MSRP?
15, 16, yeah. I think, and as the resident mixologist, I don't dabble so much in tobacco blending as much as I do alcohol blending. But I know that, especially with good cocktails and drinks, you can have certain things that are present in multiple drinks, but due to the content and amounts of certain things will change the flavor completely.
Yeah.
So I think it's not necessarily one or the other as much as a combination of percentages.
Yeah, it might be. I mean,
one or the other.
Like, given it has to be the sum of all parts. It can't just be
this does
know.
this does that.
Yeah.
And I mean, especially dealing the same thing with alcohol as much as tobacco. Whenever you burn the tobacco, it's very much a chemical reaction.
Yeah.
At that point.
True.
So I think it depends. The determinants are really how they react with each other, rather than.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Speaking of strange compositions of tobacco, that Mac Baron
It's strange.
is the most peculiar tobacco I think I've seen in a long time. Eric, why don't you read the description to us?
Fully matured Virginias, ready rubbed burleys, Latakia, and a touch of fire-cured Cavendish is the recipe. We added one of the world's finest 30 years old Scotch whiskies, Glenfarclas.
I don't even know. I'll have to look at it.
Yeah?
Yeah?
No, Glenfarclas.
Farclas.
That's an L.
Indeed.
Ah,
Farclas.
That makes sense.
Farclas.
Glenfarclas.
The natural flavors from tobacco and the delightful taste of the Scotch marry perfectly. So when smoked, you experience the mellow taste and subtle smoky note of the tobaccos combined with the overtone of a fine Scotch.
Anyway, it's a weird blend. It's definitely not in English.
It's not in English. It's not a Virginia.
It's not
It's got a
aromatic.
mix of everything.
It's a mix of everything.
It's
It
not
is.
aromatic. I quite enjoy the flavor of it. However, it does not get along with me.
Bobby got the dreaded Mac bite. Now, I didn't get a whole lot of bite from the blend, which is unusual because Mac Baron blends tend to bite me pretty bad.
There's a reason they're called Mac Bite.
That's one I can handle, and I actually enjoy it. I just wouldn't know what pipe to smoke it out of.
I don't
Smoke it out of its own pipe.
I guess.
You have enough.
I have enough.
So wait, how many are you up to now?
Well, I gave one away during a Christmas exchange, and so I think I'm down to like 140 something.
Oh.
Oh wow! Wow!
You
Now
gave one away,
Oh.
and now only 140s.
Yeah, I have
It will be missed.
28.
What pipe did you give away?
It was a Savinelli Punto Oro Mr. G Bulldog.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I like Savs. I'm a
Me
big
too.
fan of Savinellis. My first Savinelli was Carmela.
That's a nice pipe.
It is a gorgeous pipe. It is a good smoking pipe. It has the 6mm balsa filter, which sadly, because at the time I hadn't really developed the what type of tobacco I liked the most, so I was smoking mainly aromatics, and so I have to change that filter out a lot more because aromatics tend to be a wetter smoke. Whereas if I was smoking Virginias with it, or even an English blend, I probably wouldn't have to. But there's the Carmela line, there's the honey line, there's
There's a lot. You know, they came out with a new one that's vanilla.
a chocolate line,
Then
and
the
not
chocolate,
vanilla.
vanilla,
And they have a
caramel,
coffee
honey.
one.
Oh, that's right.
Coffee.
That was the other one I couldn't think of. So, and some of those have actually
They have infused infused flavors in the bowl that you can smoke.
Yeah, so I figured I got a Carmela. It would probably be good to smoke aromatics out of it. Although after the first 3 bowls, any flavoring that was in there is probably gone, so it wouldn't really matter. But I don't know. It's nice though.
Yes.
I really love that pipe.
Speaking of salves, I actually received both of my first salves together a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. I used to work for this gentleman here, and as a going away gift,
Awful employee.
Yeah, horrible. You couldn't stand me for a whole year and a half,
Bobby.
Year and a half.
Was he short with you very often?
He was short with me all the time.
Very short with me. Very short.
Constantly.
But I received both of them in a case as kind of a going away gift, and I love them both. One is an aromatic, one is an English. And speaking of,
Watch your bucket's dripping.
Yeah, you're dripping.
No, we're good.
My English, I change the filter probably once every 9 to 10 bowls.
Yeah.
And my aromatic, it's every 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So.
But it's just a little piece of balsa wood, so it's going to suck up moisture.
Yeah, no big deal. But I thoroughly enjoyed both of mine. They smoke well. They smoke very dry and clean, which kind of surprised me.
Don't you have a 7LE?
I do. I have a 7LE Zebrano.
That's right. That's
a Stanwell.
That's a Stanwell? Oh, the 7LE is my church warden.
That's right.
Ah,
Yes.
Does it take the filter?
No, it's
I didn't
it's
think
not.
so.
Yeah. I am a fan of church warden pipes. I love the elegance of them. I'm not a clincher. As they might know, I have a rather I have a very sensitive gag reflex. I have a sensitive stomach. I have a sensitive gag reflex. I trace it back to when I was when I got malaria.
Okay.
Yeah. When I was in Africa. Ever since then, I've kind of been iffy on it. And so, like, if I clench too hard on something or hold something in my mouth for too long without being able to take it out and, like, clear my mouth of any of the buildup of saliva or something, this is kind of gross, but any of the buildup of saliva or anything like that, like, I just start gagging. And so, I'm not a clincher. I can't just keep my pipe in there, you know, and just go about my business. I have to hold it. And church wardens are fairly efficient in that regard, because I can sit here and just be like, puff, 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 and not have the effort of bringing up a pipe to my mouth.
Because it's definitely an effort. I mean, it's...
I'm very much a fire and forget kind of guy. I get my pipe going, I put it here, and then I go about my business, and if it goes out, then I relight it. But all in all, if I'm clenching onto it and I'm smoking it, we're good. If I'm clenching onto it and I forget to smoke, then I'll fire it up later. I have a bit of ADD.
I'm like Bobby, I'm a clencher. I'm always doing something else.
Yeah.
I don't have the luxury to sit and relax and smoke.
Very rarely.
I'm making a pipe or I'm doing something.
Yeah.
So, let us know, what about you guys? Are you clenchers? Yeah. Are you sitters? We
now,
take a short intermission.
Yes. And also, to going into the intermission, I have another thing for you to think about besides whether you clench or whether you hold your pipe. What is the cleanest but worst, like, phrase to either call someone or to say to someone that you can think of? And so when we come back from our little intermission, let us know what you think or write it down while during the intermission, and we'll come back afterwards and tell you ours.
Yeah, those comments, we'll get back to you. We promise.
Okay. Alright, welcome back! Now that you've had a chance to think about it, okay, so I was thinking about this on the way here, and one of the ones that came to mind was pissant. Right? And piss is arguably dirty, you know, it's not the most clean thing that you can say, like, it's a bit crass, but by no means is it dirty, like, it's not like you're swearing or anything like that. But I think calling someone a pissant is pretty harsh, to say the least.
I've never heard anybody be called a pissant.
Really? I have.
Really?
I've been.
Yeah.
My parents used to use that frequently. I think.
It says a lot, Bobby. It says a lot.
I think the most insulting thing that I've been, or that I can think in recent memory that you can attribute to somebody, not necessarily because it's not terribly dirty or anything, but because of the connotation it carries, is no shit, Sherlock.
Yeah.
Because that's an insult to yourself and your intelligence at the same time. So,
yeah.
And I've been called that a couple times.
Yeah, or just like said to someone like, yeah, no shit, Sherlock.
Exactly.
But the thing is though, you're saying shit, so it's arguably clean. Although shit is becoming more and more okay.
It is. I think that the most clean, dirty thing you could say, as far as just dealing with other people, and I have to steal this. One of my good friends is a Latin teacher. Actually, he's one of our good friends. He's an English and Latin teacher. And he told us that there's a literal translation in a Roman poem that says, "Surely you would not fart in the face of a circumcised Jew." Which I find to be just utterly ridiculous.
Okay, so the context of that was in the poem they were talking about going out and doing something, and it just happened to be the Sabbath, right? And so he was saying that's being disrespectful to the Jewish community that they lived nearby or something like that. And in the poem, that is the line, "Surely you would not fart in the face of a circumcised Jew."
It's just like
of one friend trying to explain to another why he's not going out drinking or something like that.
I'm not gonna go, it's the Sabbath.
Yeah.
Surely you wouldn't fart in the face of a circumcised Jew. Don't make me go out.
Yeah.
It's just...
Okay, so, to give you a little bit of context, because you've never heard pissant before.
Yeah, I've never heard anybody call it this.
Okay, but you've heard of the phrase.
I have heard of the phrase.
Okay, yes. I mean, back when I was in high school, my throws coach for track and field, because I threw discus in shot put in high school, he was not the most PC or the most uncouth person. Let's just say, like, he would, for instance, if you were on your knees tying your shoe or something like that, he's like, "Get off your knees! There's only two things you do on your knees, and praying and something you don't want to do here with a bunch of guys." Like, he's that kind of person. I mean, like, one of the motions in the power position of the throw, which is the final, is you go like this and you swing your hand wide before you throw the shot. And so he would remind us that it was like being a pimp, and you would backhand the hoe. So we would be at a track meet, and from across the field, he'd be like, exactly, he'd just shout, "Backhand the hoe!" like to people to remind them to actually swing the hoe out wide. Yeah, and this is our coach. So, you know, he was the first person to call me a pissant. But then again, he called pretty much everyone on the team pissants.
Yeah.
I mean, this man almost made the entire girls' track team cry one time.
Did they do well though?
Yeah.
There you go.
So, you know, his
the beatings will
coach
continue.
Niles, his name was Niles, spelled N-I-Hells. Niles.
Smashing.
Yeah. So he was the one who called me pissant first, and was like, "Quit being a little pissant and hurry up." Like, you know, when we were doing some drill or something like that.
My coach is.
Alright, so I talked about my dirty, or not, clean, bad phrase, and you talked about yours. Jesse, what about you? The cleanest, worst thing to say?
Well, in the Deep South, you know, as Louisiana, something like that, when you're, maybe someone is speaking to a debutante, they want to be proper, right, keep up appearances.
Well, still flipping them the bird.
That's
on the
right,
sly.
that's right. The worst thing you can say to somebody is, "Well, bless your heart."
Bless your... Oh gosh, I hate that. I hate that phrase. I moved down here from the Chicago area, and hearing that for the first time, I thought everyone was just, you know, it's the Bible Belt. Everyone was just bringing, you know,
Well, bless ya.
yeah, like, you know, like, it was a
People are
nice
so
phrase.
friendly.
And then I found out what it actually means, and it is the biggest F-U.
Yeah.
Like, you were two-faced. You were a shifty bitch. Like, you were just. You're just laying it on thick at that point, you know. You got to get the waiters out to walk through all this BS because you're just bless your heart.
Yes.
Like, you're a fucking idiot. Like, that's what it means.
Yeah, I think another clean, ridiculously insulting thing that I've heard is, "You're about as useless as tits on a boar hog." just
Yeah. See, I have a phrase that I started saying a lot, and I might have been the first one to coin it, but is "You're about as useless as an asshole on an elbow." or makes about as much sense as an asshole on your elbow.
All right.
I have heard this one.
Yes.
I have, and not from you.
Okay.
From other people.
Yeah. I like that one.
I do too.
Makes about as much sense as an asshole on your elbow. But and what about you?
I don't have any clever ones.
No.
I've heard all
clever.
I've heard all those things, but I do hate to hear people called or to be called ignorant. Whenever, in fact, the person doing the calling is more ignorant than the one being called.
Yes.
Now, there are other phrases. I think being called naive nowadays is also
kind of.
I mean, to me, it's a little bit more of
naive or sheltered or
innocent in that regard. Like you haven't experienced as much, but that then is calling into question their upbringing. That's calling into question how much they know. Like, oh, you're just naive.
You're just being naive. So does that mean that you're stupid and inexperienced, or does that mean you're legitimately naive?
Yeah. And so saying that is very belittling to a lot of people because it almost puts them in like a childlike position.
Yes. Yeah. Speaking of ignorant, I was talking to a gentleman from South Africa, and he told me that the actual dictionary definition of ignorant is much different than what we use in everyday connotation, because ignorant is to choose not to care. Is what it is.
So it's almost more akin to apathy than it is to...
It is to intentionally not be informed or things like that, which is where the term ignorance is bliss actually comes from, is not you're being dumb as much as you choose not
I do think, though, that ignorance is bliss is sometimes true. Like, I would say that it's much nicer knowing. Like, say, for instance, when you first figure out what sex is and then you realize... That's how I came about, and
ignorance is bliss.
My parents had to have had it at some point or another.
Choose.
Yes, ignorance is definitely bliss in that regard.
And that's very much the dictionary definition of you choose to disregard.
One of my friends back at home, his name's Tom, and his mom has been a registered nurse for almost pushing 40 years now.
Wow.
And so she has seen quite a bit. I mean, she's delivered a bunch of babies in elevators. She's manually manipulated and beat a heart in her hand.
Oh my goodness.
They just opened up the guy's chest and she has to hold the heart and pump it with her hands.
Talk about seeing some shit.
Yeah, I know, right? Right? But, when Tom first lost his virginity and had sex and was becoming sexually active, it was his mom was asking him questions about, like, are you being safe? Have you tried this yet? And stuff like that. And you're just like, no! Just stop. I'm being safe. You're not going to be expecting grandchildren anytime soon. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, that's enough.
Ignorance is definitely bliss in some cases. In other cases, it is much better to be in the know. And choosing to be in the know, especially, be as well informed as you are capable of being, but sometimes just things should be better, are better left
unsaid. Yeah.
So
that was when I was growing up, when I became of that age and started to become active and whatnot, and it was practically a joke to my mother because she was like, yeah, whatever, you're safe, I know, I don't care. So we'd go through the store or something, shopping with her, we'd just be surfing down the aisles, and she's like, need any condoms? And I'm like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
She's like, alright,
I'm off
sure? I'm like, I'm good. She's like, okay.
Oh, man.
That was the talk from my father, I know you're getting that age, there's a box under my bed full of condoms, I don't count. It was like
my talk was I'm not ready to be a grandfather yet, Dave. So don't do anything stupid.
Yeah, basically.
That was my talk.
Yeah.
That I received.
I never got any talk. It was just here's some condoms, be safe.
Because in middle school, my sex ed class made the teacher leave the classroom crying one time because they were just the whole idea was that as long as you use anatomical terms and not slang or anything like that, you are free to ask, and you can do it anonymously by writing it on a slip of paper and putting it on the teacher's desk before the class. Like, as long as you use anatomical phrases, you can ask pretty much any question. And it was things like, how do I go about breaching the subject of anal? And I'm like, this is 11 to 13-year-olds asking these kind of questions. So one day, our sex ed teacher just got so flustered that she just like broke down and had to leave the class, and we just sat there for the last 15 minutes just in kind of that uncomfortable silence.
Yeah,
I mean, people were talking and taking advantage of like the teacher being gone, but at the same time, it was still one
everybody's
of those
kind of like,
we did that, didn't we?
That was definitely us.
we had sown the seeds of discord. We should probably take responsibility for this.
My terrifying experience. We actually didn't cover sex ed except for every other year, and for some weird reason, I never actually covered it until my junior year. So I was 17, and we were in the room with
a bit more worldly than others.
a bit more worldly than others, and it was us and the freshmen because they split them. For every other year. So I was in there with a classroom full of, in the auditorium with all these freshmen and juniors. And we were sitting in the front because we were the old ones, so they put us up there. And the sex ed professor, or the teacher or whatever, walked up to me. And he was like, shake my hand. And he had put glitter on his hand.
Oh,
and then he was like, now shake the next person's hand. So you shook their hand, and it kept on going. And then he looked at us, and he said, congratulations. You just passed on an STD to everyone who you shook their hand with and they shook hands with.
Oh, God.
And it was like, what? And then after that, the next day, he was like, okay, so who in here is 17 or older? So I was the only one at that time because I was one of the older ones in my class. And he looked at us and he said, congratulations. You can be charged as an adult for sleeping with anyone under your age. And everybody in the classroom was just like, and me being the only one that's 17, it was like, wow, way to go, buddy. Thanks.
Okay. I saw something in the news. It was in Colorado. This little kid, first grader, 6 years old, kissed a girl on the hand and had been reprimanded earlier for kissing the same girl on the cheek.
Okay.
And he was sent to the office, and the principal called his parents, who came in. And he is now listed as a sex offender in his school district for sexual harassment.
It's the same state that legalized pot, so what else could you say?
I'm just like, you've got to be kidding me.
Like,
this is gonna stick with this kid for the rest of his life.
All he did was kiss a little girl's hand.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, I remember like chasing girls around the playground in elementary school and like.
Yeah, like I remember like in kindergarten getting my first kiss and everybody's like, ooh, cooties! And like,
circle, dot, dot.
Yeah, like, okay, cool. And
the cootie shot.
Yeah, the cootie shot.
Yeah, and actually speaking of, I saw an article not too long ago. Kid, I guess he was 15, 16, grew up, inner city school, rough school, gave his teacher a hug and got suspended for a year for sexual harassment.
I saw that.
What?
And I was like, the teacher gave the poor kid a hug. Like, I'm sure it wasn't even like a hug.
The teacher was charged?
No, the kid was charged with sexual harassment for giving his teacher a hug and was suspended for a year.
And it's one of those, like, they mean so well by having such strict regulations and rules and strict definitions of what these things are.
My goodness.
But common sense has to come into play at some point or another.
Yeah.
And the school district, like for that 6-year-old, they're sticking by it. They're saying,
too bad.
Nope, fits the definition of sexual harassment. We're not going to press criminal charges. But as far as it goes in our school district, he is now listed as a sex offender.
Wow.
The kid doesn't even know what sex is. He's 6.
Yeah, exactly. And that was in the article I read. It was just like, he started asking his mom, like, what's sex? They keep saying this word. What is it?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
Can you really put somebody down as a sex offender if they don't even understand what sex is?
Yeah, they don't.
I disagree with that.
He doesn't even have the knowledge yet of why what he had done was considered wrong.
Right.
You know, I mean, and no, don't get me wrong. When it comes to legal matters, ignorance is never. What is it? Ignorance is never an alibi.
Ignorance of the law is never a defense.
Yes. But I think there is
6.
Yeah, going off of our current, or what we just talked about, the definition of ignorance is the knowledge of something and then choosing not to either know it or abide by it or look up more information about it. He's just never been exposed to it, ever. He's 6.
Yeah, like he can't even be ignorant of it because he's never...
Yeah. Ridiculous. Because I remember there was girls sitting in the playground in elementary school doing that. He loves me. He loves me not with the flowers. And I'm like, you know, they don't know what a romantic relationship involving love really is at that point. You know?
No, I mean, like I think of like the Little Rascals, like, dear Darla, I hate your stinking guts.
Yeah.
You are the scum between my toes. You make me vomit. Love, alfalfa. You know? And it was like...
Yeah.
And of course, you know, Darla sitting there doing the exact same thing.
Yeah,
you know, like... My God, they're kids.
This is why... So we started the second half of the podcast with the cleanest, worst things you can say. And I feel like sometimes not swearing... You're incapable of expressing the same type of emotion. Not in every case. Like you can pretty much say anything you mean without ever needing a swear word. But for fuck's sakes, like you know, I feel like that is one of those times when nothing sums it up better than just saying for fuck's sake.
You know, fuck can be the most expressive word.
Oh yeah, it's an adjective, a verb, a noun. Well, you stupid fuck.
Yeah,
go fuck yourself. You know. You fucker, like you just
today was
the
fucking
spectrum,
hard.
You know,
yeah,
of vocabulary, and they're so expressive.
Mm-hmm.
They're able to just put so much emotion into it.
In Denmark, when I was in Scandinavia, you know, I was asking them about that, and they said that for them, phrases to call somebody something is much more worse than actually saying any curse words. To them, fuck is just another word.
Yeah.
And because I mean, yeah, they're like, yeah, okay, it's bad, but. The word in itself is not bad to us whatsoever. It's the connotation behind what you say towards someone that means more.
In Tanzania, and I don't remember the word, what it is, but the worst thing you can call someone translates into calling them an impotent man.
Yeah. Like, you know, that's insulting their masculinity at that point.
Well, and it goes for calling a woman that or calling just anything. Like, that is the worst name that you can call someone.
Yes.
And I just think it's interesting, so.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're going to call it. Thank you so much for tuning in, and tune in next time to Through the Smoke. I've been David.
Bobby.
Jesse.
Eric.
And we'll see you next time.